Hey, what's going on? Charles Austin here, and let's be fit forever. It is 6 p.m. Central Time right here on the dot. This might have been my most efficient start time ever. So today, I'm sorry, my eyes are all over the place. I'm adjusting my light. I think when the power goes out, it resets all my settings. I was a little bit bright there, so I was trying to adjust some things here. But so today I want to talk to y'all a little bit about. Wait a minute. I apologize, y'all. I'm having some technical difficulties. Let's see. Yes, okay. Sorry about that. So let's try this again. So today I want to talk to y'all a little bit about antibiotic resistance. You can clearly see right there on the screen some information to kind of get you reading, kind of get you in the mindset already. So we'll talk a little bit about antibiotic resistance, kind of like what it is, how does it happen, and what are some things that you can start doing immediately to not be somebody who falls victim to this issue. But as always, before we jump into today's topic, please make sure you're subscribing to this channel and you are liking this video, because again, this video and all my other videos are awesome. So like those videos, right? And turn your notifications on after you subscribe so that you're always up to date with the latest content here on the channel. So we do these streams every Monday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time, and our occasional pop-up on the weekends as well, generally on a Saturday. So if the mood hits me, I'm like, yo, turn the camera on. Let's knock this thing out. So let's go ahead and jump in. I already wasted enough time with my technical difficulties today. So let's jump in. As you see on the screen right over here, nice image. And I always try to find an image to kind of get things started. Nice image here outlining antibiotic resistance. This one kind of decided to focus a little bit more on the agricultural aspect of it. There's more things, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But as you see here, something that you should probably find interesting and somewhat alarming is that antibiotic resistance is projected. Obviously, we can do things, we can change things today, right? That's the cool thing about scientific discovery and evidence-based studies and knowledge and information. The cool thing is you can change projections, right? Predictions are just that. They're trying to see what they think something might happen, right? So the projection is that antibiotic resistance will kill more people than cancer and diabetes combined by 2050. And that's only about 25 years from now, right? So that's in my lifetime. That's in many other people's lifetime, to where we're going to have an issue with antibiotic resistance killing more people than cancer. And this, like I said, this is kind of focusing on the livestock portion of it, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's go ahead and define what antibiotic resistance is, because many people are confused, right? So antibiotic resistance, as it says here, occurs when bacteria change and can fight off the antibiotic medicines that typically kill them, right? So if you get an infection, and let's be clear about this, and I'll show you another thing here in just a second. Let's be clear that we're talking about bacteria, right? So as it says here, when bacteria change and they can fight off the medicines that can kill them. So generally, if you get a bacterial infection, you go to the doctor. It's not like every single bacteria, but most of the bacteria that we get infected with, you go to the doctor, get antibiotics, and those medicines can go into your body and destroy the infection, right? So as you see here, when resistance comes in, those bacteria are like, yo, this medicine doesn't have an effect on me anymore. So now you're sick with this bacterial infection, and you're taking the medicine, and it's not working, right? So antibiotic resistance greatly limits the treatment options and is a worldwide health problem. So again, if we go back to the first image, if we're projecting that, if scientists are projecting that it's going to kill more than cancer and diabetes combined, that's what we're talking about. Why it's being a worldwide health problem, right? So again, this is the part that some people get confused about right here. It's not about your body developing resistance. Not like your body's like, hey, I'm taking this medication and I don't like it, so it's not going to work. I'm going to eliminate it out the body. It's not your body, right? It's the bacteria. Okay. So the bacteria are changing, and they're starting to get used to the stuff that we're using, and they're saying, hey, this just doesn't work anymore, right? So again, when resistance happens, fewer antibiotics are effective against a particular bacterium. Some other antibiotics often help, but it's more important to have many treatment options as possible. So again, all bacteria are not created the same, okay? And not all antibiotics are created the same, okay? So that's what we're kind of talking about here, okay? So why is this a problem? Well, the one of the biggest reasons why it's a problem is because you don't necessarily know that there is antibacterial resistance until you actually start treatment. So again, somebody goes in for some type of bacterial infection and you take the antibiotics, and then the doctors are puzzled and wondering why is this not being effective, right? So sometimes it takes time to realize what's going on, and you get even sicker. And the sicker you get, the infection can run its course, and in some instances, you can die from this, right? So why in the world do healthcare providers even use antibiotics, right? So again, common infections like as you can see here, urinary tract infections, right? Something that's common that anybody can kind of get. Now, obviously, there's things you can do to prevent them, but it's not something. It's not a death sentence. It shouldn't be, and it's more common than you think, right? But again, if you're taking antibiotics for your UTI, your urinary tract infection, and that bacterium mutates, and now you have resistance, well, now your urinary tract infection can spread, and that's a big problem, right? So some of the causes, right? What are some of the causes of this antibiotic resistance? Okay. One of the big causes is overuse. Okay. And when we talk about overuse, we're talking about taking antibiotics when they're not needed or even helpful. Okay. So as it says here, most cases of pharyngitis, we're just talking about sore throat. So when you start, your throat is sore, if it's inflamed, trouble swallowing, stuff like that. In many cases, pharyngitis is a viral issue. Okay, so we're talking about a virus, which is a totally different animal, right? Totally different thing. Okay, so antibiotics won't help, but for whatever reason, they're still being prescribed, right? So as it says here, all right, this study here, this article here is about overprescribing of antibiotics by doctors, right? So where's the stats? I wanted to find it. I had it pulled up here just a second ago. Where'd it go? I lost it. Okay. Where is it? Here it is. All right. Sorry about that. So again, as we've already covered, antibiotics are indispensable. Okay. Every physician should have it. Okay. If you get a bacterial infection, you're going to want to be able to treat it and generally treat it as we talked about with antibiotics, right? But unfortunately, all right. Oh, and here's the other thing, something we hadn't covered that I did want to make sure I covered from this study here, this article here. The thing about antibiotics is, in many cases, they will wipe out not only the bacteria that you're trying to get rid of, the stuff that's making you sick, but they'll wipe out healthy bacteria too. Because if you use a broad spectrum antibiotic, it's just kind of going in there and it's finding bacteria and it's just trying to get rid of it, right? And then when you do this, it can cause side effects like other infections and other allergic reactions, right? Now, what I wanted to talk about was the specific stats. Hopefully you didn't read ahead, but as it says here, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention estimates that about half of outpatient antibiotic prescriptions in the United States are unnecessary. Okay, so that's 50%, half. So that's 50% of these outpatient prescriptions for antibiotics that are not even needed, right? It further estimates that each year, so this is annually, every 365 days, 2 million Americans suffer from antibiotic resistant illnesses, and as a result, 23,000 people are dying. Okay, so again, 2 million are suffering from these resistant illnesses, and of those 2 million, you got 23,000 that are dying. Okay, now let's see, was it this one or the next one? Yeah, I think it's the next one. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Okay, so here's some more data for you, right? Here it is. So another study on the overuse of antibiotics revealed that 47 million prescriptions are medically unnecessary. 47 million prescriptions of antibiotics, they have no medical cause. Okay. Here it is, another one. So the study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association analyzed antibiotic prescribing in 2010 and 2011. So this is a little while ago. All right. And they found that an antibiotic was prescribed in 154 million doctor visits, right? But as it says here, but 30% of those prescriptions were for conditions where antibiotics don't work and only work sometimes. So again, this is just kind of shedding light a little bit on the fact that, look, y'all, we have a situation with antibiotic resistance, and if you go to, the doctor, which, that's supposed to be a place for you to get help, get treatment. In many instances, if we've just gone over the data here, you may be being harmed. It may be making things worse with over prescription of antibiotics, right? And real quick, here's another nugget. I've even heard people tell me that they go in for a certain illness, right? A virus, right? And they're getting prescribed antibiotics for viruses, okay? We kind of mentioned it here. Many cases of pharyngitis are viral, and they're given antibiotics, right? So here's the thing about viruses, okay? Antibiotics don't kill viruses, okay? Why don't antibiotics kill viral infections? Well, antibiotics cannot kill viruses because viruses have a different structure. They replicate differently. Long story short, they're different. They're not the same, right? So if you have a Phillips head screw, you're not going to go get, one of the Allen wrench heads, right? You're not going to get that. It's not going to be the right tool for the job. And the same thing can be said about the antibiotics, right? So some of the other causes, right? We said overuse and misuse, right? So again, bacteria take advantage of any opportunity to multiply. So the thing about this is when the antibiotics will work, people don't really take the medicine the way they're told to, right? So that's another problem, right? Another issue, agricultural use, which we'll get into in just a second, right? Or is that now? Are we doing that now? No. I actually missed one thing for y'all. So again, we were talking about this one real quick where we're talking about overuse. I did want to show you this one last deal here. More research here is that this comes from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Again, it's showing that 1 in 3 antibiotics prescribed at outpatient facilities are unnecessary. So that's 33%. So again, that's just another little piece of data that I want to make sure I share, right? So again, let's go into some of the more causes here that we were talking about as far as how does antibiotic resistance happen. Now, some of the things that will happen, again, we go back to our previous article here from Cleveland Clinic, right? We talked about overuse, overprescription, misuse, things like that, right? Okay, and that may be getting antibiotics too much. We talked about some of the data, right? So as we go on here, there's some natural biological causes, right? bacteria, just like a lot of bacteria, is going to mutate. It's going to change over time. So again, this is something we don't really have control over for the most part. Bacteria are going to mutate. They're going to change. And yeah, the drug that you thought might work before may not work this time. Okay. That's just the nature of things. Okay. So there are some natural biological things that happen in bacteria that just make them different over time. Okay. That's not the main thing we're talking about. That's what we can't control. Okay. So we can't control what bacteria are going to do naturally. Right. So again, what this is going over this one, and I don't want to bore you to death with these specific topics, but what they're just talking about here is just different types of causes. You got the mutation here, gene transfer, et cetera, right? Now, let's go to some of the other stuff. We already talked about inappropriate use, right? Inadequate diagnostics, right? Where you're diagnosing and you're saying, hey, it's this one, it's that. We talked about hospital use already, clinical use. Let's jump into agricultural use a little bit, okay? And this is for all my folks that are out there and they're still meat eaters, right? Still dairy eaters, right? This is for you, okay? So real quick, I know the text is a little bit small, okay? But as it says here, every single time. So the quick thing on antibiotic resistance in agriculture is the simple fact that it's given to livestock in their feed. They inject them just to try to keep them from dying. Okay. And this comes from the poor conditions that many of the livestock are raised in. They're living in on top of dead carcasses. They're living in feces and vomit and all these different things. And that's like a breeding ground for bacteria and germs, right? So to combat this, what they do is they say, hey, let's pump up all of the livestock that we're raising, and let's pump them up with antibiotics so that they survive long enough to make it to slaughter so that they can make it to your dinner table, okay? So again, why does antibiotic resistance, we already covered that. So how is antibiotic resistance linked to animal agriculture, right? Okay, so one of the main concerns in modern agricultural systems is that the high stocking density promotes disease in farm animals. What they're talking about is what I just described. The animals live on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other. So if one animal gets sick, they're so close in proximity, those infections spread like wildfire, right? So again, animals are held in poorly ventilated, damp, and feces-covered sheds and pens where infection or disease quickly spread. Farmers then supply antibiotic-laden feed to prevent widespread infection in their livestock and the eventual profit losses from sick and dying animals. So I kind of laid it out for you already. There's no money to be made in dead livestock. So the only way that they can keep these animals alive long enough to make it to slaughter is to start pumping them up with antibiotics. Okay. So again, how does this impact health, the human health and food security, right? So a lot of people they'll make the claim that antibiotics help farmers produce more sanitary food. Say, hey, this stuff is actually cleaning, helping the animals stay clean and stay healthy, right? This is kind of far from reality, as it says here. So as farm animals consume antibiotic medications so frequently, their bodies are full of and covered in resistant bacteria which pass into our food during processing, right? So the antibiotics are on and in the foods that you're eating. So they're doing this over and over and over and over again in agriculture. And where do you think that goes once it gets on your plate? You eat it. Now it's in your body. Okay? So now those same bugs that are resistant to the livestock, now they're resistant in you as well. Okay? So again, as it goes on here for meat and fish, this contamination occurs during slaughter, in dairy, the bacteria, even the antibiotic medications can pass through the animal into the final milk product. So again, they're going to sell you on the fact that they're doing this to make sure that the animals are clean, healthy, and free from infection. But in fact, it's actually causing more of the problem, right? So again, if you want to go back for a quick summary on some of the main causes, we talked about overuse, okay, getting too many prescriptions. And we also really talked about agricultural use, two of the biggest reasons why antibiotic resistance is just going up and up and up and up at alarming rates, right? Now, what are some of the things that we can do? What are some of the things that you can start doing immediately to start combating and start reducing antibiotic resistance, right? So on an individual basis, right? And in many cases, y'all, this is really the power that you have on an individual basis. Okay? In many cases, these folks aren't going to do anything because they're making too much money, right? They're making money off the dairy, the meat industry, all that kind of stuff, right? So they're not gonna do anything, right? So what can you do on an individual basis, okay? So again, one of the easiest things that you can do is only use antibiotics when prescribed by a certified health professional, right? Now I started there because certified health professionals are giving you antibiotics even when you don't need them. So that's true, but at the same time, we have to start educating ourselves on things like antibiotics, on things like bacterial infections, on things like viral infections, to understand that, hey, I have a viral infection. Why are you giving me antibiotics? Okay, so while this is true, I like to dissect this one a little bit. Just because the health professional is qualified, you still need to educate yourself on the medication and the illness that you're being medicated for, right? Don't demand antibiotics. Definitely don't do that. What else? Please do this one here. Always wash your hands and prepare food hygienically, right? Super important, okay? Other things that we can do here. Now, again, as it says here, policymakers, yeah, you can do your best to reach out to the policymakers and all that good stuff. But the best thing you can do is, number one, only use antibiotics when you need them, okay? And make sure that you're educating yourself on antibiotics and infections, viral and bacterial, right? One of the biggest things that's not mentioned here, is just eat more plants. Okay? Eat more plants. Again, we talked about the agricultural aspect of antibacterial resistance. So if you're able to eat more plants, you're eating less of the animal products that have the issue with antibacterial resistance, right? So those are things that you can start doing tomorrow. And like I said, I'm going to go back to this one. Many people forget that washing your hands is like one of the best things you can do just to stay sanitary. Okay? Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Okay? And then here's another good one as well. If you are still, if you still are a meat eater, make sure that you are separating the types of meats from vegetables and other foods that you're preparing. Don't cross-contaminate. Okay? You don't want to do that. Okay? So again, different things that you can do to start helping combat the problem with antibiotic resistance today. Number one, like I said, you just start eating more plants, right? You just start eating more plants. So again, other reminders, again, only take antibiotics prescribed for you. And if you are on antibiotics, make sure you take all of them when you have to. A lot of times people say, oh, I'm feeling better. Take all the ones that you have to take. That's why they always tell you to finish that prescription, right? And again, here's another mention of washing your hands, all right? And again, I'm going to say it one more time. You can just eat some more plants, okay? You can just eat some more plants, all right? So, cool. So that's it for today. Before we see if we got any Q&A, I want to remind you, as always, you can go right here on my YouTube channel, go to my playlist. You can hit 3 times the burn challenge right here where it says view full playlist. You can try out 10 full workouts, full total body workouts right here for 100% free, which is part of my 3 times the burn challenge. And if you absolutely love it, which I'm sure you will, you can go to fitnesscharles.com/3 times the burn, and you can sign up for the entire package, which has a nutrition plan, which allows you to join the challenge group with support from yours truly and other folks that are going through the challenge as well. So this challenge is designed to help you lose weight, build muscle, and the workouts are totally on demand and you can do them anywhere. All you need is like a resistance band. That's it. You don't need much more. Okay. So hey, if you're looking to lose a little weight, this is a 60-day challenge. That's the one for you right here. You can hit the get started button right here, and I'll show you I'll play a little video for you where it'll tell you everything about the program. Hit that I love a challenge button. Bam. That's how you get enrolled immediately, right? If you need something a little bit more in detail, check out my Fit Forever Family program, where here You can go to this page right here by clicking the link, and you can book a free consultation right now. You can talk to yours truly. I will explain the entire thing here, but this is a 90-day transformation experience, much more in detail, much more in depth than my 3 times the burn challenge, to allow you to be fit forever. I'm not going to go over all the details there. I've talked about it more and more and more and more and over and over and over again. Book that free consultation, y'all, if you're interested for more information. All right. You can also go right here where it says books, where you can check out my books, the 85-15 diet plan here, and also the toilet book there as well. All right. So let's see if we got any Q&A today. What are the risks of eating more plants compared? So the question was asking about, I was saying earlier about, hey, you can eat more plants over the animal products if you're trying to combat antibacterial resistance, right? Because of the issues that we brought up earlier with the feed and the horrible living conditions and all that good stuff. And the question was, hey, what about if you eat more plants? What are the risks associated with plants? Well, are there some? Yeah, there's some, right? You have to be careful with the way plants are created now with the overuse of genetically modified organisms, and they're not all bad. So I encourage you to do your own research with GMOs. Some GMOs are just fine, and some of them are not just fine, right? So that's one of the things you have to look out for. Also, you got to look at the use of pesticides as well in plant foods and plant products. And that's why it's important to make sure that when you're eating fruits and vegetables, to give them a good thorough washing. And even the same thing goes for, like, if you're cooking dry beans, if you're cooking rice, you want to give it a good washing. Make sure we can get as much of those chemicals off that may be present on the foods. Some foods, and I'm not going to go down a complete list, but some foods, you may be more likely, you may want to consume 100% organic foods, depending on what it is. Some foods, it doesn't matter as much. Again, I always encourage y'all to do your own homework and your own research when it comes to these things. But at the end of the day, even if you're eating plants that, there may be some issues here or there, the plant is still going to be the best option for you to consume over all of these animal products, right? We're not really, I literally just made a video yesterday about how we're not really designed to consume animal products at all, from our teeth down to our digestive tract, right? So at the end of the day, plant products are going to be the best thing for you to eat. And you just got to look for a few things. Like I said, look for the pesticides, look for GMO, look for things like that, thoroughly wash them. But plants are going to be your best option. But good question, right? That was the only one I had for today, y'all. So as always, at the end of our streams, if you have questions about what we talk about today or anything else, always ask. I'll do my best to answer. And if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you, and I'll do my best to find it for you. Okay. So Mondays and Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central Time, we are doing these streams each and every week. If I'm not here, it's because something happened and I'm busy or whatever. I'll be back as soon as I can. But I'm here pretty much every week. Every Monday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time. Make sure that you subscribe to my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fitness Charles. You can also visit fitnesscharles.com, as you see right there. I guess that's to my right, maybe your left. And check out more information about myself and how to get started with all of my various programs that are listed there. All right. So I will see y'all for sure on Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time. Hey, but maybe you'll see me sooner on this weekend if the mood hits me. Until then, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and please be fit for